Like Michael Pellegrino finally on the podcast. This is going to be the best podcast ever. And I know that because I've never worked so hard to get someone that I know on a podcast in my life. Like we've only rescheduled what, 9 times, I think. I don't know, but a few.
It's okay. We're here. That's all that matters.
That's right. Let's do this thing. So welcome, Michael. It's great to have you on the show. I can't wait to hear everything about you, seeing as how I've known you for a really long time and I've never really gotten the full backstory of it all. So today we get to cover that, and then we get to talk about some really exciting news about next year. Yeah.
Can't wait.
So tell me about you, man. Give me a big bird's eye view of your life and where you went, where you're from, where you ended up, and how you got here today to be doing the good work that you're doing.
I appreciate it, Kris, and thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure, and I'm so honored to be your friend, and I think that's the most important part. But as a person, I describe myself as a man of God first and foremost. That's the most important, title that I hold, and a husband and a dog dad and all that other good stuff. What I did was for 27 years, I was in law enforcement, and I packed a lot of trauma, just like, a lot of the profession does. And that trauma ate me alive for a long time. And I'm so happy to be doing the work that I'm doing now because I've unpacked a lot of that trauma. And now I'm living and I feel like I'm thriving in life because I was able to use a lot of the tools that I was taught that I wasn't using for such a long time. And now with that, I am happy to say that I'm living that life. I'm living that best life.
That's fantastic, man. So where did you grow up? Where did you start out, and where are you from originally?
I'm originally from a town called Ewing, New Jersey, which is right outside of Trenton. It's kind of like the urban rim of Trenton, New Jersey, which is the capital, and lifelong resident there. And I lived there for about 30 some years of my life, 32, I think to be exact. And then I met the woman of my dreams, and now I live at the Jersey Shore as part of the time, but now actually in South Florida. So I'm going to be becoming a resident of South Florida. So excited about that, and just the great weather down here, and super excited about all the things that are happening.
Well, as in a Floridian, we have to officially say WTF, which doesn't mean what you think it does. It actually means welcome to Florida.
I like that. I'll have to. I'll
So
have to say that as soon as I.
yeah, WTF, man. You're here now, so you get to be a Floridian like the rest of the world. This is the best place to be, man. We're the state that's got it great. So it's all the good stuff's happening here. Did you know you were going to become a cop for the rest of your life when you were growing up? Were you like one of those kids that dressed up like a police officer and always wanted to be a cop?
Never. I
Never?
wanted to be I wanted to be a fireman, or I wanted to do something in that field. Again, I thought I was going to college for business. Little did I know, but now, let's fast forward a little bit. Being an entrepreneur and being someone who is able to talk that language a lot. Now I never thought that my life at 15, 16 years old was going to put me where I'm at right now.
So it's really kind of just happened that you ended up becoming a police officer. I mean, that's a pretty long time to become one that you didn't want to become one. Most people will get into a job and realize this isn't the one I want to stay in, so I'm going to leave. But for you, you ended up staying and making it a career. You never saw it as something that, what about it was so addicting or so appealing that made you stay?
Well, again, I was not, I was a terrible student. I was absolutely a person who hated school, and I was a hands-on guy. So I wasn't afraid of hard work. The only thing that I was afraid of was going to school and learning that way. I could learn anything. One of the things that I taught myself, or I heard later on in life, was that you go to school and you learn, and you probably never use those things again. So now I'm using a lot of the things that I've learned in life as life experience to be able to do what I'm doing, and I love doing it.
Well, I think too, there's a lot of different ways of learning, right? I mean, like the school system is designed to teach people a certain way, but I think it's safe to say that that's not effective for all people. And that you learned a lot from all the stuff that you've gone through in life and all the things trainings and all that kind of stuff. and now you've even designed your own. So we'll talk about what you're doing with that. RMOTFL is actually Resilient Minds on the Front Lines, so everybody knows. So tell us how this came about and what made you so passionate about moving into that field of nonprofit work and mental health and helping the other police officers that are out there learning to deal with the same stuff that you have faced and dealt with.
Well, I don't think it's a professional thing. I think it's actually a life thing, Chris. And we're all going through something. We're all either going through a storm, we're just coming out of a storm, or we're getting ready to go back into a storm. So, mental health and mental wellness is so important to be able to use the tools to be able to, I like to say, catch yourself catching yourself. So first you can self-identify so that you can self improve, so that you or self manage so that you can self improve. So this was something that after retirement, post retirement, I had a lot of friends on the job that committed suicide, and this was not done in vain. It was done to make sure that nobody suffers in silence. And when I retired, I was approached by the lead law enforcement officer or lead law enforcement executive for my county, and they had just launched a program that they wanted to reach out to every police officer in New Jersey to give them resiliency training. And one of the things that he wanted me to do was come on and be able to facilitate the program within the county and get it out to all the police officers, because again, these were tools that were actually tangible things that they could use in their life to be able to catch themselves from the spiral downwards. So that was the goal. So again, trained myself, entrenched myself, and after post retirement, I didn't expect to retire to take that job, but I retired to run our businesses. My wife and I have several other companies that we own, so the retirement gig was supposed to be for help run the businesses, but I felt such a passion and such a calling to this that I really entrenched myself and I took the job. And it wasn't for the money, it wasn't for anything else. It was to make sure that no person was suffering in silence. So little did I know from there that this was going to morph into what it is right now. And what it is right now is absolutely incredible. So it started with going to some classes and meeting the right people in my life as mentors to kind of put me on the road to resiliency. And I didn't realize what my road was. And I didn't realize how twisty and twine it just kind of intertwined, and it was just packed with all kinds of traumas and all going back over 27 years of 25 years of a career at that point. And then obviously getting myself taught, learned how to be resilient myself. And I want to say that it's not a destination, it's a journey. And every day that journey takes me on a different road, sometimes an off ramp, sometimes I'm on a super highway. But that's all part and parcel of that. So from that, we just getting ready to launch into the 2020 era, and we all know what happened in March of 2020. I just got trained up. I was an instructor for the FBI National Academy Associates. I was an instructor for my county. I was a master resiliency officer, strength trainer. I was the chief resiliency officer for the county. So I held all these titles, but those titles didn't mean anything as much as it did to get the message out there,
Yeah.
to help those people. And then once the lockdown hit, it was kinda like, okay, I was just tasked to sit home and take phone calls, and I remember the first day of lockdown taking some phone calls, and I think I was on the phone for 8.5 hours or 9 hours with 2 people, and they were so concerned about their health, whether they were gonna bring this home to their kids and all this stuff. So it was kinda like a meltdown. And I looked at my wife across the table and I said, "Man, we got to do something. I don't know what it is yet, but we got to do something." And that's where Resilient Minds was born. Resilient Minds on the Front Lines was an idea at our kitchen table. And I looked at her and I said, I'm thinking of, I want to do something like a webcast series to give people four things. I want to give them hope, positivity, a resiliency tool, and resources. And then the tagline, that we came up with was 15 minutes of hope in a world turned upside down. So little did I know that, reached out to everybody on this thing called Zoom or something like that.
I don't know anything about
Zoom
that.
Yeah, Zoom was a thing, so I think that first phone call, I reached out to about 25 people, and I think 27 people were on that first Zoom call that I just downloaded this new app, and I had no idea how it was going or what was gonna be used for or anything. Yeah, Zoom took over, and that first meeting, that first idea was presented there, and, it seemed like everybody was interested, and we wanted to put together a webcast series, and everybody had their buy-in with everything. So it was one of those things. Now I had to bring it to the bosses and say, okay, I'm not asking them for any money. My wife and I put up the money to make sure that we had the website, we had that we had all the back office stuff.
Mm.
So we partnered with a local high school, Howe High School in New Jersey, and they were doing all our editing and putting everything together. They were awesome, and I had a young gentleman at the time. He was a junior in high school, and he was doing all our web designs. Kid was absolutely amazing. He's still with us to this day. I call him, his name is Ray Liberto. We call him Ray Liotta because he looks like a young Ray Liotta. So, I just got off the phone with him too, and he's an amazing young man, and technology is his thing. So we were putting all this together, and we were looking at the back end, and we were seeing as these webcasts were getting released into the virtual world, we had reached over 34 webcasts, and we had reached 76 countries in all 50 states in the world. So it was kind of like one of those things that we were like, okay, we need to do more now. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
kind of how it was born right there.
Got the wheels turning and started the downhill thing, and all of a sudden it just kept going and snowballed into what it is today, which is really you're the largest mental health or the first accredited mental health nonprofit for police officers. Is that right?
Well, we have different accreditations, and we're working on different ones right now as we speak. But we have about 6 different platforms that we teach on, and everything is either in person or virtual or hybrid or however we want to do it. We just want to make sure that the message gets out there. But a couple of our platforms include our 3-day resiliency program, which is kind of like our flagship program. We have a great resilient leader program that we partner with one of our facilitators to put that together. We have another great program called the Resilient Peer, which is a peer-to-peer component of what we do that we partnered with a couple of our facilitators on. We have a financial resiliency component, which is incredible. Our chaplains program, we have a chaplains program that we teach different, all denominations on how to be chaplains within different organizations, especially in the law enforcement world, in the fire world, in that portion of it. So Gary Holden does he's the director of our chaplaincy program. He does an unbelievable job because we truly believe in the spiritual component of resiliency and everything that we're doing. And we have a whole virtual component that we have. And one of our docs, Dr. Kate, she put together an ACEs component as well too, which is adverse childhood experiences. We believe that at Resilient Minds that the younger that you can teach resiliency, the better off you're going to be in the long run, especially when it comes to ACEs and so forth.
So define for me what the word resiliency means.
Well, I'll give you the generic what we all say it is. It's being able to bounce back, recover, and grow.
Mhm.
But for me, it's thinking about being a basketball player on a basketball court, and it's driving that ball down the court because I just don't wanna sit here and bounce back. I want to be able to bounce back and move forward. And that's kind of what the learning process is. And I don't want to overuse the word resiliency because it is, it's a word that's just thrown out there right now. There's so many people going through crisis right now. They don't want to hear resiliency. They want to hear tangible takeaways. They want to hear tools. They want to hear, okay, well, what can I do to bounce back and recover? And obviously, resiliency is just so overused right now. But more importantly, it's the term that we want to be able to have a call to action to.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think resiliency is I mean, for me, it's just simply the idea of never falling down and not getting back up, which I think is that's the success story of life is if you just get up 8 times after you fall down seven, you're always going to end up very well off. It's the people that give up, it's people that quit and don't keep going. So that's how I look at it and think of it. But I know it's, it is a word that's being thrown around a lot. So that's why I was interested in hearing your definition of it as well. Because I know we have a resiliency thing coming up, which we'll announce later on at the end of the show. But yeah, so I just was curious as to what your defining resiliency definition was, and I like that definition. I think it's really good. I think it's a quality definition. So
Appreciate it.
when you say when you were in the police force and when September 11th happened, yes,
Yes.
and so you probably experienced a lot of people that you were probably since you were in New Jersey, I'm sure you were right there, right? I mean, when everything happened and went down, and I talked to my friend Cliff, who's was in there too working. He's actually got a book out that's won an Emmy and a documentary for his experiences and story about what he went through because he became suicidal after he after 9/11, after pulling people out of the rubble and that kind of stuff. And he's a vet that went to the military and then found his way and obviously didn't commit suicide. Now he's got a mental health program on veteran trash talk. And every Wednesday he has a podcast. And I've been on it 6 times because I love the guy and I love the show. But I know that that was something that was in your neck of the woods. So I'm sure that kind of probably played a role in your life and what you're going to do with things. Did you see and experience a lot of stuff from 9/11 that was motivating you or was it inspiring you or were you kind of a part of that group that was really going through a lot because of it and you weren't really ready to talk about it and that's kind of was there any correlation I guess in 9/11 to your resiliency?
Again, that was a time in my life I was actually in Boston, where I was supposed to be flying back from Boston to Philly on September 11th. And I still, I talk about it a lot. I still have my airline ticket. Obviously, there was a couple planes that came out of Newark. There was, I think, a plane that came out of Boston, Logan, which I was supposed to be flying out of. But I broke up with a girl, or she broke up with me, and I was home a couple days earlier, so I was living with my cousin at the time, and I just remember driving. I was driving on the New Jersey Turnpike, and I actually saw the smoke and the buildings still in the air. Because if you know the New Jersey Turnpike, it actually looks into Lower Manhattan. And I was going up there for a PBA meeting, and you see the smoke in the air. I think at the time we were listening to the news, and the news said maybe a plane ran into the building or hit the building, but nobody knew what was going on at that time. And then pretty quickly, everybody had found out. And I didn't. I was only up there for maybe a couple hours to deliver a couple things, but yeah, there was so many other things that were going on. I was not really there much. So the effects that, the smells and everything like that, I can't really speak to. But again, it's what really was affecting is, all the people that were lost that day is, going by the train stations and seeing the cars sitting there for periods of time. Um, we did, lose a couple friends, in the building, not close, but, acquaintances that we knew. So, going to several funerals and just the constant reliving that and watching it on the news, it just and now watching all the documentaries years later and what actually happened. And, I remember when the president threw out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium shortly thereafter, it was just everything was just emotional and everybody was on a, everybody was just waiting for something else to happen. I think that was my biggest thing. I went into work that day and you were just waiting for something else to happen.
Yeah.
And nobody knew what that one thing was going to be. Was this the end of the world coming, or what? That's that's something that I always think about.
Yeah, for sure. And that's I think there's a lot of questions still unanswered about 9/11, but neither here nor there. It was a massive tragedy on our soil and made us very aware of vulnerability, I guess you could say, in our country, which is something I don't think we really paid much attention to as a country until that day. So it certainly has woke us up a little bit, I think.
Sure.
Hopefully, I mean, this next generation hasn't been through any kind of trauma or anything like that, so they seem a little less awake, but maybe they'll wake up too one day. So hey, I was reading an article the other day and it was talking about subconscious mind and the programming of that subconscious mind. And they say that you have all your subconscious programming from your ancestors genetically and from the first 7 years of your life and while in the womb of your mother. And I thought to myself, and that's 90% of your brain because 10% is the conscious mind. Is that right? And
I,
so this was what they were saying. And I was like, as somebody with brain damage myself, and obviously, you know, all the other things, I was very interested in what they were talking about and how that was going to come full circle. And so it basically, the end all story was that 90% of our brain, our subconscious mind, which is really 30,000 times stronger than our conscious mind. So it's really the thing that makes us breathe, makes us walk, talk, everything that we do without thinking about it, our heartbeat, our lungs, everything. And that's all programmed while you're in the womb, genetically from your ancestors, and then in the first 7 years of your life. And then that's it. And then it stops and it's all programmed. And I'm like, well, as you and I know, my childhood was not stellar, seeing as how what was that, 9 on a 10 or 19 on a 20 or something on the the test that I took.
9 out of 10
But
you were.
but yeah, that doesn't bode well for me, does it? I mean, if that all that's programmed, all that stuff's already in there, then obviously I come from genetics that are not good, and then I come from a very traumatizing childhood. So what do you think that does to the mental well-being or the manufacturing of the conscious mind as you go through life? Do you think that you have less of a chance or more of a chance, or do you just get a better chance to become resilient?
That's a great question, and I think that we all have choices, but sometimes we don't know what them choices are. We don't know what right or wrong is because, we were shown so many different ways and how to treat people and what to do, and when you take that ACEs test and the higher the number, it's like, "Oh my god." But that number doesn't have to define you either. That number is your number. It's not something that you can take away, but more importantly, if you actually use some of the skills and you work on them as adults, as you work on them as young adults especially, you can change the whole trajectory of your life because we know, and our researchers have told us this, is that resiliency can be learned at any age. And that's the cool thing is you don't have to be born with resiliency. You could learn it as you go, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to fall off every once in a while, but the key is to make sure that those beliefs along the spectrum are a lot smaller. And if you can make those beliefs a lot smaller by using some of the tools that resiliency can teach you, then you can bounce back that much quicker.
So that answered my second question, which was going to be, can you develop really resiliency throughout life, or is it something you're already born with? Are we already decided that we're going to be resilient or not when we start life? Because I teach that that I feel that people are either fall into one of two categories, either a victim or a champion mentality. And champions are the ones that are resilient. They're the ones that are going to keep going. There's the ones that never stop. Everything that happens to them is just a launching platform to get them to the next thing that they're going to go do. And then victims are the ones that anything that happens to them stops them from moving at all. And they just lie down and die or just sit and don't do anything, which is fine. We got to have both. But you don't think it's something that you're born into. It's been proven that you can actually develop resiliency throughout your life.
No doubt, Chris. We know that resiliency can be learned. We've had and we have piloted this class with somebody as old as I think in their 80s, and somebody who was probably a junior or a sophomore in high school. So we've taken it both ends of the spectrum, and we through the research and through what we know that resiliency can be learned. And that's a great thing. So anybody who has that high ACEs score has a chance. It's like I believe Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face.
Yeah, that was Mike Tyson. That's a good line too, I think.
Oh, it's a great line. But once you get punched in the face, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Depends on if you're a champion or a victim, because
A
that's gonna
victim or
determine it.
victor?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do something, right? There's gotta be a choice made and a decision to keep going, or you gotta, and that's really defines what people to me, UFC fighters and all that kind of stuff. I work with some of the fighters out there, and focus training, meditation, that kind of stuff. But I tell the fighters all the time, I go, listen, there's gonna be a day where when you become a fighter, when you get punched in the face, you decide right then and there, do I like this or do I not like this? And people don't, and you're either one way or the other. You're not going to go like, I kind of liked it. You know what I mean? Like, no.
Sure.
There's people who like me who love to be punched in the face, which is probably why that's what my instructor told me why I was the best fighter to fight, as far as from my perspective. From his perspective, it wasn't real, but is because I enjoyed it. But most people don't like being punched in the face. So they just go the other direction, right?
Sure.
And so for me, it's funny because I always try to get people to come to yoga, especially guys. And I always joke that it was easier to get people to go to MMA where they're going to get punched in the face than it is to get them to go stretch with a bunch of girls in a room. And I'm like, how is that a thing? Like, I don't understand the what? Okay. So tell me, I mean, I know we got some exciting news, right? Dennis Quaid is working with you now. How's
Yeah,
that
he
going? And what's that going to be looking like? What are we going to see from that?
well, you have the commercial. The commercial is out there, and being the voice of that was really awesome. Had the opportunity to film that right here in South Florida, and we worked with a great studio down there, and again, Dennis was brought in to kind of do the voiceovers and everything. So we were super super excited to launch that. We launched that in August of this
August.
year. So this was a really really big scaling year for us, and we did a lot of great things this year, and hopefully 2026 is going to be huge, and that's the plan right now, because there was a lot of pivots in 2025, and not because they weren't working or anything like that. Sometimes you just miss the mark with some things, and you have to pivot from things.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
one of the things that we really focused on now is this is not it's not a sales thing or a law enforcement thing or a military thing. This is a human thing. Humans now, there's not one person in the world that couldn't benefit from mental wellness. I like to call it. I don't like to say mental health. I like to say mental wellness, because we're constantly working on our wellness.
Yeah.
And one of the analogies I love using is we go to the gym and we work out from the neck down. How many
Yep.
times do we go to the gym and work from the neck up, Chris?
Not many. Not many.
Not many. What's the most important part of our body?
Arguably, the head.
The head is where we get all our what we're really focused on, because again, we get caught in and doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's
That's
just insanity.
Yep,
And we
it is.
realize,
I think that's the official definition too, isn't it? Is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
yeah, but
Where does that
how
come
do
from though? Is that programming? Is that subconscious? Do we do that because we just are glutton for punishment, or are we just plain stubborn? I mean, what do you think it is that makes us go through the same thing over and over without understanding that we're going to continue to get the same result every time? I don't understand why
I
we do that as a human being. I don't get it. I'm like, I'm beside myself all the time when I have to go through the same lesson, and I'm like, okay, and as you say, I mean, we do need to strengthen that brain. And obviously, most people after they leave grade school stop learning. They stop going to school. They stop educating themselves. They're conditioned and programmed with a bunch of news and information, but they're not learning new stuff, which I think is a big thing that we should get back to is educating or strengthening our minds or looking for more ways to become stronger. I know I've spent the better part of my adult life trying to find ways to improve my mind and have it work correctly because trauma to the head is a real thing, and it really does cause issues. And so I've worked really hard and become very resilient as far as bouncing back and learning how to redo everything all over again. And then recently, obviously, you were bearing witness. I would say the atlas bone might be the most important thing in our body.
Um,
I mean, can we just stop for a minute and talk about the miracle that we had happen with me and like Dr.
yeah.
Dan and what happened on that thing? Because let's be honest here, that little bone is everything. It's everything. And wow.
I can't wait to get it done. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I know that I'm a candidate for it, and I know that probably 95% of this world are candidates for it.
Yeah.
It's amazing, Chris, and I think I tell that story over and over again. I've never, person. I believe in miracles. I believe in the way things are supposed to happen. But what I saw that day with you was probably one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's why I took you with me. I needed somebody to bear witness to it. Needed to have some someone to go, yeah, no, I was there. It happened that way. That's all that it was. Like incredible
And
stuff.
I tell that story, and I probably introduced maybe 10 or 12 people to Dr. Dan already, just by text message or whatever. And I'm like, you got to meet this guy. He's like,
He's a miracle worker.
I, I said, I was with my buddy. I drove him there. He walked in with a cane and was doing handstands on the way out. I'm like,
Exactly. Dragging my leg on the way in because I couldn't pick it up. And then out the door, I was like, man, I feel great. I don't even need my cane now. But it was just such a big difference. I mean, I still stare at the x-rays and think to myself, how was I even able to function with my head and my spine that malaligned for that long? And how is it that after I've been to the hospital, I'm going to say 20 times in the last year, and nobody even knew to look at that or to even check that or to see how is that a thing? Like we have a population of people out there that could, like you said, 95% of the population could use this technology and this device, but yet nobody knows about it.
yeah, not stand by for that because that
Yeah.
that is going. You and I are. If I make anything my personal mission to see what I seen and to be able to do that is to be able to make those introductions because I seen what it did for you, and I was honored to be there first, and secondly, it was just an amazing day. It was probably one of the most amazing days to see your friend actually as much pain as you were in to be able to be pain free.
It certainly was life changing for me as well. And obviously, you were such a big part of my journey through the last year, 2 years, I guess. And time flies, man. But yeah, you've been there for me every step of the way. And I can't thank you enough for that. And it does, you're right. That just simply having to know someone's there. And I think our new app that we've got going on is a big time tool for that kind of thing because, I check in every day with my people and I see what they're doing. And it just makes me feel better to know I have some people that I can count on if I need them. And you've always been one of those people that's held space for me really, really well. And, but also been available anytime I needed you for the most part. So I think that's a big feather in your cap, man. It does take a lot of work to do what you do. And you got to be acknowledged for that, like it's certainly important, but that's the resiliency for you is that you tend to wake up and go every day. I'm going to make sure I check on these people. I'm going to check on these people. I'm going to make sure this person's okay. And if anybody calls me, I'll make sure to call them back that day. And that's something that I can't tell you how grateful I am, but I'm sure that everyone else does as well. And just to know someone's there on the other end of the phone sometimes is all you need. It's the difference between, sometimes life or death. So kudos, man, for your doing that. And I'm really excited about our next project, which is coming up here next year, huh?
Oh man, super excited about that, Chris, and all the other things that we have to talk about and stuff. And
It's
I'm not going to take your thunder away because this is your show, and I'm just honored to be on it. But yeah, no, I can't even tell you what 2026 is going to look like. And I know with all the things that we have and with all the good Lord has in store for us, I think that there's nothing that we can't accomplish
nah,
together or
man. We got
separately.
this now. I mean, I can handstand, so that's like, that's the craziest thing of all, right? I mean, would you think that's a thing anymore after watching me walk in that office that day? Like I was so dead set that was going to be the way I was for the rest of my life, and I had no idea there was a solution out there. And now that it's fixed, like you said, 2026 is going to be really good. 2025 was a really tough year for me,
Yeah.
and so I know 2026 is going to be the bounce back.
Yeah, yeah, 2026 was difficult for a lot of people, and the one thing good thing in a couple weeks, we get to start anew. And
That's right.
again, I like to say I'm not going to wait till January 1st. I'm going to start anew right now.
That's right.
And I constantly, whether it's a new second, whether it's a new minute, whether it's a new hour, whatever it is to make that a little bit better than whether it was the last hour or whether it was the last second or the last minute, is to constantly improve and to
Certainly the
make
truth. We're
yeah,
not in competition with anybody but ourselves, and all we have to do is be a little better than we were yesterday, and that's
love
considered an improvement. So I just focus on that one day at a time, 1 minute at a time, and the rest of it, makes it a lot easier to deal with, I guess. Not
definitely does.
easier, I guess more, I don't know what the right word is, but it's definitely not more of a attainable. Attainable, yeah. That's what it is. I can attain 1 minute of doing better, 10 minutes, but when you look at it as a big chunk, what do they say? How to eat an elephant one bite at a time. If you look at
One bite
life
at a
and
time.
as the long journey that you think it will be, and it's not always that long journey, but it's always long. It's not as long as you'd like it to be sometimes or whatever. But I certainly think that's too much to take on for your brain. Like your mind can't conceptualize the amount of days that you're going to live, the amount of things you're going to experience, the amount of all the trauma that you're going to go through. And so to me, that's an overwhelming concept. And with my brain, I know I function really well by keeping things simple and reducing down to basically the most simple version of a life as I can. And that's just one day at a time. And all I have to do is tomorrow be a little better than I was today. And always make sure that I'm focusing on choices made in love, not choices made in fear. And that will always lead me in the right direction and keep me in good graces with that guy or girl
Yeah.
or whatever you wanna call him. I tend to think God's
That's who
probably
I
a
wanna
woman.
be in. That's the one I wanna be in good
That's
graces.
right. We gotta make sure on his VIP list, man. That's
Yeah,
the one you wanna be on, so that's gonna get you into
won't
the
have to
good stuff.
explain anything.
Well, I'm excited about 2026. I think it's so cool you got all this great stuff going on and that we have some stuff we're working on together. I'm really glad that we got you on the show this year before the year was out because I was thinking this was just a joke or something. Like we were just it wasn't going to happen. I'm like, how is this possible? I've never had to reschedule somebody so many times, but it just seemed like every single thing that came up was right dead smack in the middle of when we were supposed to do something. And so I know we've been through it, but again, our resiliency paid off, and here we are making it happen today. Nothing can stop us.
Hey, it happened when it was supposed to happen, Chris.
That's right. That's right. Well, tell everybody out there where they can find your stuff so that they are able to track down resiliency training of all types and any type of thing they need and how to reach you as well.
Yeah, please, by all means. Our website, our company website is resilientminds.us, resilientminds, minds.us. And my personal website is crisis equals opportunity.us. That's crisis equals opportunity. They're both all one word. Those two will bring you to whether you want to email, whatever you want to do, you can get in touch with me right from either one of those websites. My partner and I have a consulting company again, so we do a lot with that called Pellegrino and CPO Consulting. I got to give Rob a shout out. Shout out. Is our CEO for Resilient Minds and my business partner as well in the consulting world as well too. And close confidant that I look up to that really in the law world he does a wonderful job. And with the trainings and putting the curriculum together, this is something that I will say that it's not about me, it's about we. And our facilitators, our curriculum directors, our everybody who put everything together was a labor of love. And you know, I, I want to make sure that as the sea rises, we all rise. And I
Mhm.
think that's the most important part that I can ever experience in life. You can't do nothing alone. And again, if the idea and the money is there, then it makes things a lot easier for people to see a vision, but they don't always have to buy into the vision.
Mhm.
And our team has been fantastic. And for me, that is the biggest thing is it's all about them. I live for them, and I want them to always know that they're loved and no matter what. And again, I can go on and on about every one of them. I don't want to mention them all by name, but because there's so many of them. But
It would basically be the end of your awards party if we listed out everybody else. It would
yeah,
give them a trophy or a plaque or something, but No, I think that's amazing, and I think, and people can get certified through your program. They can take the program. Do they have to be police
Absolutely.
officers? How does it work?
No, not at all. Not at all. We've actually entered into the corporate world. So now we're doing corporate team building, we're doing corporate speaking, we're doing a lot of different, we've opened up a lot of different avenues for people to book us. Anywhere from 15 minutes to 5 days. I mean, we have a 5-day program that is second to none. And
Wow.
that's one of those things. And with a lot of the programs that we do have, again, there's not one person in America that couldn't benefit, or the world that couldn't benefit from having a stronger mind and having some tools on their tool belt so that when they do hit that spiral down, they can catch themselves with a parachute pretty quickly. They may sit there for a little bit, but at least they can stop it and feel it, and then obviously spiral back up. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing we like to teach people is it's not about PTSD or PTSI, whatever it is. It's about post-traumatic growth. And that's a very, very big thing. And when you can have that emotional intelligence and you can have that critical thinking and you can think of all the things to be able to be grateful for, to be able to stop that downward spiral, you're going to come out of that slide a lot quicker.
That's for sure. I think that's probably a good point too, is really kind of focusing on there's got to be one thing that you can be grateful for in your life every day. And if you just focus on that and nothing else, you're going to be good. You know what I mean? Like that's it. Gratitude. People who are grateful tend to be very respectful and tend to be kind, but you got to be grateful first. And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, repairing anything comes down to gratitude because with a grateful heart and a grateful mind, you're never going to be in a state of turmoil or stress. Not never, but you will. But hopefully you go back to the gratitude. And that's kind of what I always do is I just focus on being grateful for what I can be grateful for. Sometimes it doesn't have to be very much either. You can be grateful for nothing. Like sometimes nothing is the best thing you can be grateful for. Like I certainly would like to have nothing going on for the next week, just for 1 week, just to be able to catch up on some things. I'm
Sure,
sure you have
sure.
enough going on too.
Again, I wouldn't want it any other way, Chris. And like I said, it's my life is I live by the hour, I live by a calendar, but more importantly, it's all about making sure that it's for the right reasons, the righteousness, the purity, and making sure that my integrity and my character. Yeah, I saw a great sign, and I don't know who wrote it or anything like that, but it said if you lose your money, you lose nothing. If you lose your health, you lose something. But if you lose your character, you lose everything.
Mm. Isn't that the truth?
Man, that's something that, I hold near and dear to my heart because
Yeah.
integrity and character is first and foremost.
Integrity, that's a big one too, man. Doing what's right, no matter who's looking and no matter who's around. I know I was over at Lowe's the other day and I bought a whole bunch of items and they scanned everything and went through the checkout. And I walked out the store and I was emptying the cart. And wouldn't you have it that there's gonna be like one little Teflon tape thing in the bottom of the cart that didn't get put in the bag, didn't get rung up, and I'm at the back of the parking lot and I had to go all the way back in, wait in line again to pay for this Teflon tape. And I'm like, but I can't walk away with it. I can't. It's not me. I'll never do that. And I just won't. And it's like, it wasn't something that, it's just, I'll never be able to, I don't know if that's even a thing. Like, I cannot imagine walking away knowing that I took something I didn't pay for and being okay with it. That would never happen. There's never going to be a day in my life where I'm okay with that. And I just think that's an integrity thing that is instilled in you at a young age or isn't instilled in you at a young age, and you got to figure it out along the way. But I mean, once you keep yourself in check, because if you do keep it, it's not the Teflon tape that you kept, it's not the money, it's the fact that in your brain you're now programming your cells to be okay with that type of behavior, and that's how you end up on a downhill spiral into a lot of bad things that you don't want to get into, like it can really eat you alive. And it's like you don't even know how subconsciously your mind will run through that 2 million times that you kept that and didn't pay for it. And that, now you're a bad person or now you're this or now you're that. And it's like, no, 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 no. I'm keeping everything off my conscience. I want it all to be clear, taking it back in. I'll stand in line, whatever that means. And usually when you do, you meet someone cool or something happens that, ends up being an attaboy from God saying, good job, well played. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that's an important factor too, is the whole integrity thing. I think you got to live in that integrity. If you want your brain to be clear and your heart to be clear, you got to know you're in alignment, with truth and with love and with God. And so, with all that said, that was probably the longest ending of a podcast that I've ever done. It was like 10 minutes long, but hey,
Yeah.
congratulations to everybody at Resilient Minds for all the amazing work. And Michael, I appreciate it, man. We'll be doing it again soon, and
We
maybe even
sure will.
more.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to say anything further right now, Kris,
Yeah,
but
we'll go ahead and
before,
tell them. So we got we're co-hosting. Woohoo!
oh,
Michael and
I'm
I
so
are kicking it
excited,
off
my
in
man.
2026. Voices of Resiliency. So this is kind of the precursor that's heading into our new podcast series. That's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to having that going on, and all the guests that you're bringing to the table, and coming down to South Florida since you're now a WTFer. So you get to be in my own state, and we get to come down and hang out and film and video. So I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be awesome. Hopefully we
I
can get
can't
Dr.
wait.
Dan in there too, and we can do the whole mind,
Oh,
body, soul thing. I think that was a great idea.
Kris, I can't believe it. Just to be with you and to co-host with you. I've learned so much from you, especially in this world. And I'm so excited to bring Voices of Resiliency and conversations with Kris together now. It's like a dream come true. I never thought in a million years that I would ever be a part of a host, but more
You're
importantly,
great at it. It's going to be amazing. We know we've already started videoing, so you did great. I mean, and you got
yeah,
all the
no,
cool contacts and connections, and you know all the stuff I don't know about. So that makes it a great partnership, a
oh
great
yeah.
co-hosting thing. You're the Kelly to my Reva.
And I could just shut my eyes and listen to your voice constantly, especially during them apps where you're doing all the meditation and
The
all that other
Kalmora.
the Kamora. I'm gonna throw that out there. And getting prepared for 2026, the first quarter of that with the Resilient Minds on the Front Lines app. That's what
Yes.
we're real excited about.
Yes. Very excited about that. Can't wait to see what comes out of the back and forth between your business partner and then the other people that were involved in that whole world. We know
Oh
we
my
stay in our lane and we let the experts do what the experts do. So,
Kris.
but I can't wait to see the app.
But that's where, our podcasts are now gonna be brought right to the platform, so I'm super, super excited about that, so everybody who does get the app will get the podcast as well, so
That's amazing too. I'm so happy to be able to help with that.
yeah, no, Kris, you were a huge part, and you connect the dots with that. We looked at a bunch of them, but this one just we fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I already know you guys do awesome stuff. That app is amazing. It's going to be a great combining thing, and the two are just going to go. The sky's the limit. Where can it end up? What can it be? And we can keep designing and building on it next year, and everybody will be able to see the Voices of Resiliency on the app, which is really cool. We have an app for ourselves. That's neat. That's not for us, but like for us to give to the people.
And help as many people as possible. Again,
That's
the people that we have around us and just the influence that we have around us from the people and the doctors and the subject matter experts and everybody who brings something to the table. If we can help one person, we did our job, and that's
that's
the
right.
key.
That's right. Every day. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the whole goal is. I don't care if I only help one person. If that
yeah.
one person is all I care about, like it's not a numbers game. It's all about quality over quantity, I guess. But I mean, if I affect two, that's great. If I affect 2,000, that's great too. But for me, you don't even necessarily know how many people. Like I just got my numbers back from this year from Spotify, and it was like 22,300 people on their number one show, and I'm like, wow, I should probably be careful what I say. I don't even remember what I talk about, like, you know how I am. But yeah, I was like, that's a lot of people. So maybe that, maybe I am making an impact. Maybe there are people that are listening to me that are getting help from me. I certainly know they'll listen to you because I listen to you. So therefore, when we get together, maybe they'll listen to me too.
We're gonna do some great things, Kris, and I know we're gonna be doing some social media together, and we're gonna be doing a bunch of stuff to release this for the beginning of the year. So
Yeah,
I
very excited.
Me too. I can't even begin to tell you what your friendship means and your loyalty and all that and your character. So we're gonna make great things happen and buckle up.
no doubt we'll be the co-host of the year for sure. We got a lot of things to say, the two of us. So I'm looking
With a
forward
lot
to
of
it, man.
great people.
Yeah, oh yeah, and we're surrounded by the good ones, so we know what we're doing, and we got the people going to support us, which is what we need. But yeah, then
Absolutely.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. 2026 is going to be a big year. Let's sign off here because people are already at work now and they're busy and they're bored. So we got a 40-minute limit before we gotta keep keep their attention. I'll hang up here, but we'll stay on and talk real quick. Okay.
Okay, sounds good,
Thanks
Kris.
again, Michael. I really appreciate you, brother. You've always
All
been
right, I love
amazing,
you,
and
bro.
I'm excited for what's coming up.
Me too.
Stop. Stop. Let me stop it. How do I stop it?